Now, I currently, as a 32-year-old investor, own around 2,280 shares of SCHD ETF across multiple portfolios. And with this amount of shares, I'm definitely on my way to building out a long-term compounding machine. And this is because simply SCHD, at least historically, has paid more or less 8, 9, 10, or 11+% more in dividends year over year, which makes SCHD a compounding machine, even if I never bought another share again. Now, to visualize this very simply, you can see that as of right now, SCHD offers around a 98-cent trailing 12-month dividend payout for every single share that I have, which is going to pay me around $2,234 in annual income per year. Now, if SCHD raised their dividends, let's say on the conservative side, 7% more every single year from here, that 98-cent payout per year would then turn into $1.05, then $1.12, and then just after several more years, I'd be almost doubling the amount of SCHD dividends I get paid, and this is once again if I never bought another single share. Now, not to mention if SCHD raised their dividends substantially at 12% dividend growth rate, you can see just how fast my dividend income is going to grow from there, and therefore my wealth also. But in this video, we're going to get down to the bottom of it, and I'm going to go through the actual math and see how long it would potentially take an everyday investor with a $25,000 purchase into SCHD and not another dollar from there to turn their portfolio into $25,000 worth of SCHD into $1 million worth of the ETF. Now, spoiler alert, I already went through the math and some of the numbers are pretty shocking, so you're definitely going to want to stick around. So if you're a long-term investor, whether you own SCHD or not, make sure to stick around, drop a link down below, and let's get right into this one. If you are a dividend investor who wants to level up your portfolio, you need to be tracking your dividend income consistently. And that's why I created the perfect dividend tracker that I've used to scale my dividend income up to all-time highs over the last year. Now, along with this dividend tracker, you're also going to receive my A to Z dividend investing ebook, which shows you how I personally started from $0 several years ago to now where I earn over $7,500 per month in dividends. So if you want this tracker and the ebook, go to the first link down below in my description and grab it today. Now, like I sort of mentioned earlier in the video, and I showed you guys my custom SCHD dividend calculator, where I'm specifically sitting when it comes to this ETF and how much dividend income I'm looking to receive from here on out. It sort of paints a picture and makes this ETF pretty obvious on why it's so popular, or why it has been so popular over the past several years, and why there's over $67 billion invested in the ETF as of right now. Now, this is because this ETF, of course, invests into a high-quality basket of stocks, around 100 different names like Cisco, Bristol Myers, Home Depot, BlackRock, etc., etc. The ETF invests into a diversified portfolio of different names that at least historically have paid dividends and raised their dividends significantly. And this is exactly, at least partially, how this ETF, at least historically, has raised their dividends so much over a short time frame, relatively speaking. Now, along with that sort of a bonus on top, this ETF also has been trending up in price over the long term, and even ever since I started buying into it just a few years ago, I'm up substantially on my shares. But the real magic on turning a small portfolio into a massive portfolio, especially if you're talking about dividend growth names, is going to be how much in dividend income the portfolio is going to pay you from day one, and then how much dividend growth the portfolio is going to see from there. And then the real important factor is going to be if you reinvest your dividends along the way into more shares of the ETF, you can turn a relatively small portfolio into a massive one in a relatively short time frame. Now, to give you an idea here, around 10 or so years ago, SCHD was paying around 8 or 9 cents per share per quarter. Now, again, these are all just share split adjusted. Now, as of right now, the last few quarters, we're talking 25 cents, 27 cents, 25 cents. Now, again, if you along the way reinvest your dividends into more shares of SCHD, those numbers are going to add up significantly, even with as small as a $25,000 initial investment, which I'm going to show you here in a second. And this is exactly why, at least for me personally, in my long-term portfolio, I want to have different positions in my portfolio that not only offer dividend income from day one, but that offer a high amount of dividend growth rate. Because again, even if I'm getting paid a nice amount of income today, which I currently am making around $7,700 per month in dividends, later on in the future, with the thoughts of inflation or even my general lifestyle gets more expensive, I want my portfolio to not only keep up with all that, but I also want it to outpace it. And that's why I think dividend growth rate is so important. Finding different stocks and ETFs that at least historically have paid more and more in dividend income is going to be very helpful, at least potentially. But enough talking, it's time to go through the exact math like I promised you guys with a $25,000 initial principal investment into something like SCHD that currently offers a 3.32% initial annual dividend yield, an 11.13% expected annual dividend amount increase. And again, all these numbers can change. These are all just to be estimated, just to give everyone an idea on how fast this portfolio could grow and reach $1 million in the future. A 7% expected annual share price appreciation, $0 annual contribution from here. So for this first example, we're going to be going over 25K, set it and forget it. Let's say you're 20 or 30 years old and you want the portfolio to be very plump by the time you're, say, 60 or 70 years old. Now, the distribution frequency, of course, the dividends are paid out quarterly for SCHD as of right now, and DRIP is going to be turned on, so that's going to mean that all the dividends along the years are going to be reinvested into, you guessed it, more shares of SCHD. So the numbers are in, and let's try to figure out how long, based off of these current numbers, $25,000 would turn into $1 million worth of SCHD. So year number one, the $25,000 investment would be paying around $840 per year in dividends. After those dividends are reinvested and the portfolio went up in value, by year number two, we're already at almost $27.5 thousand with over $950 per year in dividends. Now, based off these numbers, the $25,000 initial and not adding another single dollar from there, which is sort of unlikely, I'm sure a lot of us are sort of laughing at this theoretical situation because I don't think any of us could handle not buying another share of SCHD forever. But with these numbers, it would take around 15 years or so to surpass six figures, $103,000 worth of SCHD and almost $6,000 per year in dividends. So by 15 years in, based off the 25K, it's a nice increase as far as principal goes. The dividends have grown substantially, but again, we're very, very far off from that $1 million goal. Now, 20 years in, the portfolio would be $185,000 and around $13,000 per year in dividends. Now, as time goes on, the power of compounding is going to kick in and the numbers are going to get bigger, which are going to help the future numbers get bigger a little bit quicker. And this is because every single year you're reinvesting all these massive amounts of dividends into more shares of SCHD, which is sort of like putting more logs on the fire a lot faster. Now, by 26 years in, we're at almost $400,000, so we're getting close to halfway there, and $35,000 per year in dividends. It would take 30 years to reach $700,000 and $71,000 per year in dividends. Now, even at this point, with $700,000 and over $71,000 per year in dividends, it could potentially be enough for someone to retire off of, live off of, depending, of course, what your expenses are in the future. I get it, inflation's probably going to kick our butts long term, but again, just based off this theoretical situation to give us all an idea. Now, just based off these numbers, it would take a $25,000 initial principal investment into SCHD and then $0 invested from there. Only dividend reinvestment turned on. It would take 32 years to reach $1,024,000 and around $104,000 per year in dividends. Now, just for fun, if we were to do this exact same situation, $25,000 plus $12,000 per year in dividends. So let's say somehow an investor long-term found a way to earn an extra $1,000 per month, dumped it into more SCHD. Let's see now how fast this portfolio would compound. So $25,000 year number one. By year number six, we're already over six figures at almost $114,000. Now, by year number 15, almost $500,000. And by year number 21, we would surpass $1 million invested. So it would more or less cut off around 11 years of investing if an investor just simply spent an extra $1,000 per month, which I get is a lot of money, but still, it would cut down the time dramatically in order to reach that $1 million goal. Now, the whole point of this video is to share with you guys one of my favorite dividend growth style ETFs, SCHD, which, like I said, is one of my largest holdings across my long-term portfolio, and an ETF that later on in life I'm definitely going to be utilizing to help pay for things like bills, vacations, or of course to help family and friends. But even more importantly, I wanted to share with you guys how easy it is, at least relatively speaking, to turn a relatively small amount of money, $25,000, into a boatload of capital later on, if of course you just stay invested long enough and let the power of compounding do its thing. But now lastly, most importantly, before I go, I want to hear from you guys down below. Which ETF and or stock are you as of right now stacking shares of like crazy in order to build out a massive snowball effect in your portfolio for years and years to come? Drop the ticker symbol in my comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.